Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
Welcome back to the Think Factory podcast, and I'm your host, Chris Santamassimo from OGC Solutions, and we power the Think Factory podcast. And I'm excited to be here today with Katie Fisher. She's the Regional Sales Executive for XMPie Incorporated. So welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Chris. Great to have an invitation today.
We're really glad to have you. You know, when we were talking before the podcast, Katie, I was telling you that I was excited to be introduced to you and to learn more about the company. So I'd love you to let the listeners know more about XMPie and what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So a little bit about XMPie. We've been in existence for about 25 years now. We're founded with the vision of personalization across any media. And you think about that 25 years ago, I mean, the idea of personalized emails and landing pages and things like that really were very forward thinking. And so, being able to create unique personalized content for both printed components as well as being able to incorporate in some of those digital components in marketing campaigns has really been something that's given us a big advantage into the industry, especially in the last, probably decade.
Yeah, and you guys are really at the forefront of some of that development. To talk about those kinds of things 25 years ago was probably unheard of in a big swath of the industry, I would say.
Absolutely. I mean, you look back and you think about what we call like variable print or personalized type communications. Back then, they were very transactional in nature. So you think, we used to get statements and invoices and really any, form of communication as far as billing was done via transactional variable print. Our company realized, though, that there really is an advantage in the marketing aspect of things to be able to use some of that technology as well, and create things that are a little bit more engaging, a little bit more personalized, more aesthetically pleasing, things that can provide a different impact outside of just providing information.
Yeah, and it really is a central part of this, omni-channel communication strategy that folks use when they deal with the digital combined with direct mail, to market a product. And it's really, it's an area of the technology that I think is super interesting because of its ability to combine more traditional avenues, if you will, with the digital side of things. That's exciting to everybody.
Absolutely. No, and that's the key. I think so much nowadays, especially with increases in postage cost and paper cost and labor, a lot of organizations are trying to find ways to most effectively use their marketing dollars. And I think, the easiest thing that they look at is cutting out print. But we all know that, the impact that has on results once that happens. And so being able to come up with something that's more of a complementary type approach to where you're providing more high value printed components that potentially can link to a digital component for some of the follow-up communications. And that way you're getting the best of everything.
Yeah, and that's the cool part about it is that the digital side is really able to increase the ROI and be much more strategic in terms of how you put things in the mail.
Absolutely. I think, you and I both met. We were down at Inkjet Summit. And I think one of the key takeaways that I took there is, realistically, inkjet devices now, the quality, the ability to do everything individualized has come to a point where there's no reason why you couldn't go digital anymore and why you couldn't go inkjet for some of these type applications. And I think you need the software to be able to allow it to do what needs to happen.
Right. Yeah, so if you could dive in a little deeper, Katie, into some of the offerings that XMPie has and, where it fits in this, this ecosystem of digital and print.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked a moment ago kind of about personalization for print. We do things a little bit unique in so much as we don't use a proprietary application. Our software for variable print composition is done directly inside Adobe InDesign. So we work via plugin into that designer-friendly tool that people have that interface that they're used to, and allow them then to tie that to data and create some rules and logic around it to create those unique pieces for each individual simply and easily. I think, we start talking about labor, definitely is always a concern. And, by adopting that approach, there's a numerous amount of people out there that are very familiar in designing in InDesign. And so it makes the learning curve to getting people up with our product and being able to use it at a very sophisticated level very quick. So it's not like just starting from scratch.
So if I'm understanding it, Katie, when you talk about variable print, a lot of times what you're talking about is a static piece that is, addressed. Certainly variable data printing, you can do all kinds of things. But in many cases, when you're talking about images, the image is static, but the data, and especially the addressee, is variable. But with am I hearing you right that XMPie can enable you to create unique images based on the recipient of the mail?
Yeah, absolutely. That kind of takes us from just doing like a simple mail merge where I'm just putting an address block on something and maybe putting, barcode or things like that to get it in the mail, to creating something where everything on that particular document that's being sent can be personalized and variable. So whether it's an image, whether it's a text block that needs to be changed in and out, whether it's an entire color scheme, whatever it may be, anything inside that design document that I've created, now I can create a rule around it so that I can use data to drive it and create uniquity.
That's going to be amazing, when the recipient opens the mail and sees an image that's personalized to him or her. That's got to be just really powerful in terms of getting a marketing message across.
Absolutely. That's the key. It's creating things that are higher value. So, anything that's going to create that response to the individual recipient that's going to allow them hopefully to act on it is what we want to get. So, whether it's by doing it with personalization or whether it's by doing it with things like embellishments or different colors or things like that to kind of grab their attention, or all of the above, that's, kind of really where I think the future of print is going.
Well, sure. And to your point about the quality being there too, maybe this is one of the many areas where, the ability to create such a unique piece is maybe the justification for the slightly higher cost of using an inkjet device over an offset device, right?
Absolutely. It's all about the value that you're providing. So, when we start talking about offset type print, everything there is the same. There's no personalization to it. It's, something that realistically anybody could get on their computer by looking at it via PDF. Right. So, having something that, provides them that unique information, that personalized content to them is really what's going to be the driving force. And that really kind of leads us into, once they've got that information in that printed piece, how do we keep that cycle of engagement going? And so much of it now, we're not just straddled to our desk to be able to use our computer. We carry around cell phones that are, super powerful, that can do pretty much everything that we need to do on them, kind of in our hands with us all the time. So being able to take that printed component now and via QR code or, a personalized link there to be able to drive that to digital content and continue that engagement process is key.
Well, besides the Adobe integration that you have, I suspect you're probably integrated with CRMs as well, that your customers can take their data right out of the CRM into your software and do all of the functions that you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So with our software, we're not really limited to just flat files. So to your point, we can have connections to real live databases, so that we're pulling information real time. Our software actually won't even do the composition of that until it's called upon. So, let's say somebody received that printed component in the mail. We had a campaign going. They clicked on that QR code, and it took them to a personalized URL. We're actually creating that personalized URL based on real live data. So if something changed from the time that we actually printed that mail piece that they received and the time they clicked on the link, whether it be messaging, whether it be something that updated in their contact list based on purchase history or whatever, now they're getting real, live, up-to-date data at the time they requested.
And how do videos play into the ability of, the personalization side of the software?
Yeah, no, good point. So that is another area that we kind of touch upon. So we talked about digital components. That's definitely one of them. We actually work very similar to print with video in so much as we work inside of Adobe After Effects. So not only are we creating videos where you've probably seen them where you've got, maybe you can tell your name's been placed in it.
Yeah.
or you can see like some other piece of data that's just been kind of thrown on top of a template. Our plugin into After Effects allows you to really personalize the content of that video. So think, we can change out and swap not only different segments of that video based on that data on that individual user. We could change the music that's going along with it. We can change kind of the effects. So like your name now could be embedded in, I don't know, the license plate of the car, or that we're trying to sell you through the video.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, all of that, highly personalized content can now be offered up in that visual kind of extra marketing effort.
My one experience with that is when my kids, now this is going back to 6 or 7 years, but when they got accepted to college, the colleges would send a video with the kid's name, throughout the video, where it would show up, like you said, in all kinds of places within the video, and it just seemed really special, like it was generated for her or him. And I think it meant a lot, frankly, just in terms of, communicating a message and welcoming somebody. And when you're in a competitive market like that, where you're trying to attract the right students, I think there's a lot of value there.
Oh, absolutely. And, that's obviously a great example of a use case for personalized video. We actually had a university who, at the time when the pandemic happened and, they had to cancel graduations, we had a university actually use our software to create personalized graduation messages that went out. So they actually received a video with like snapshots of, their school that they went to, with, things that had happened during that year that they were there, and, kind of that congratulations to that individual student. So
that's amazing. So where do you see the market going in the next, 6 or 7 months, maybe into next year, in terms of, developments on your side, or as well as developments in the inkjet market?
Yeah, so kind of looking in the near future like that, I will say, I think based on a lot of what feedback that I've gotten from Drupa that kind of happened the last couple of weeks, I think, we've always kind of heard about AI and kind of what that role looks like and playing into any kind of future technology. And I think that, over the next 6 months to a year, maybe the next up to 5 years, I will say that there's going to be a big evolution in learning how to use AI tools to kind of augment and automate some of the processes that are in play. We actually came up with several examples recently using our software where we're actually integrating in AI type touch points to it as well. We have one that kind of integrates with AI, ChatGPT, in a campaign where somebody goes online, they kind of input a little bit of information. Based on that, we actually reach out to ChatGPT. It creates content for a personalized piece of communication. So something that actually would end up as a printed type piece that would go out. Also creates a personalized image, to your point. So it's kind of got your name kind of embedded in the image. Sends a personalized email. And then also tags in Amazon Polly, another AI tool that creates some voice to text or text to voice for the actual email. So it's actually read to you inside of the page as well. So some really cool stuff there. We also kind of partnered with some other of the equipment manufacturers out there. We did some personalized communications to create some really unique components with Scodex, with some embellishments. So being able to combine not only the communications as being personalized, but adding that next level of tactivity to the actual piece that they're holding on to, the embellishments. We worked with Lambda on creating some really nice personalized postcards, showing off some of the capabilities of their device. We have a really cool example with Zycon as well, where they go in and they're actually creating a versioned kind of catalog, and then it actually has some spots of personalization in there. But I think the key one was kind of going back to our AI. We actually did a partnership with Fuji and used a utility called Ready Player Next. I know it sounds kind of silly, but one of those tools where you can go in and you can take a picture of yourself, or you can select from a gallery and create your own avatar. And then once you've created that avatar, what we're doing is we're creating a personalized comic for you. And then using the Fuji equipment with some fluorescent pink, because it is a comic, we want to make it, kind of loud and crazy, and some gold metallic in it as well. So, it's really about combining technologies out there and learning how you can use those to your advantage, again, to really make yourself stand out and create that high value type application.
Well, what's nice about it is it turns users into a graphic artist in a way. Right, because the system is going to create a lot of the artwork that you need in a customized way. And makes the process a lot faster, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So I think another thing that's really kind of going to be eye-opening, I guess, in our aspect as well, is you've seen Adobe has come out with some AI generation tools as far as for generating, images based on just a description. So now technically I don't need a graphic designer to create some content. I can just say, hey, I want a picture of a barn with a cat in front with, a nice creek in the background of it, and in the front I want a text box so that I can put something in it. Whatever. And now I've got something, it's created, I can use that, and that's the starting point for everything that's going to come after.
Yeah, it really just gives you a different tool in your toolbox to do things a lot faster, to be able to turn it around for customers. I wonder if the AI has gotten to the point where it's got the same creativity as a human when it comes to the how everything is sort of structured in a piece, in an image that it might make, but certainly growing by leaps and bounds in terms of the capability.
Yeah, and I think that's key. It's, probably not to the point where it's going to be right for the majority of things that you're doing, but it's definitely a great augment, and there's definitely use cases for it. And, like I mentioned earlier, I think it's probably, over the next 5 years, we're going to see just light year advances in that. And so kind of starting to figure out how you can play with it. Right now, you're kind of getting in at that ground floor, so you're going to be ready when, that technology is to a point where you're going to really be able to take advantage of it.
I wonder if the AI and machine learning are going to give, the system the ability to interact with a customer too when they come, to their QR code, for example, and they go to their landing page. The AI tools may allow you to have an almost human interaction before you even have to speak to a human. And maybe you complete the transaction entirely with AI.
Absolutely. I know we have some integrations that have been out for, quite some time, some applications we've done with utilities like that where, you think about it, I just mentioned Amazon Polly. So, think about it now, not only are you getting the typed text in communication, kind of like you would be chatting with someone online, and a lot of times that's virtual anyway, but now that person could be communicating with you actually in a voice type format. So it's, definitely very cool.
Truly amazing. Well, you guys sound like you're on the forefront of a lot of these tools. So I think you're really at the tip of the spear, so to speak, when it comes to, the development of these things. So congratulations.
Well, we're a software company. We definitely can't think of everything. And that's really where we rely pretty heavily on a lot of our users. We can kind of show them what our software would do and kind of give them some examples, but they're really the real power users out there that can figure out, hey, if I connect this, how would I do that? And, here's what happens. And, magic comes out the other side. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely the talent of the individual user is going to make a big difference, but for sure you're giving them the tools, which ultimately is what you're there for, right?
Absolutely.
Well, it was great talking to you today and getting a little bit of a deeper dive into XMPie and all the things you're doing to empower the industry.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. It's always fun to talk about stuff like this.
Oh, absolutely, especially when you're proud of what you do, and obviously you folks are for the right reasons. So just to close it out for today on the Think Factory podcast, we've been talking with Katie Fisher, who's a regional sales executive for XMPie Incorporated, headquartered in New York, and it's been a blast getting to know you and the company a little bit.
I appreciate it, Chris. Thanks for your time.
It's our pleasure. This is Chris Antomassimo from OGC Solutions, powering the Think Factory podcast, signing off for today, and we'll see you next time.